Hello, my name is Scott Perry Johnson, author of The Abandoned Poet. I set out on a mission in life as a writer. To be honest, when I was young, I never thought I would ever become a writer. But as I saw the cruelty in the world gather, I felt like it was my mission. I felt no one is doing anything about the state of the world, and someone eventually has to. This is my very first reading of a piece from The Abandoned Poet. About 2 years ago, I was supposed to be dying. It's a very long story. For about almost 1 year, I stared death in the eye. And I noticed that people were verbally, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and yes, even physically abused out of the common mortal's fear of mortality. Basically left alone to rot, suffering not only in the pain they're already in, but on top of other people's pain. Now, in this time, I felt very alone. I was seen through. And those whom are actually dying do experience this all the time. I was tossed into a caravan park, and it was a very violent place. Thieves, violence, threats, you name it. But the psychosomatic effects kicked in. And it was a psychosomatic illness. As I said, it is a long story. And, well, it would be hard to understand unless you actually lived through it. So I wrote a piece called Winter Passion. Winter Passion basically explains the psychosomatic effects of weakness, everything really. Falling to the ground head first, spasms, even comas and being unconscious. And in this time, I used a walking stick in the middle of winter just to go to do the basic requirements of life. I have a lot of empathy for the actual dying because I lived through it. And in that caravan park that I had no choice to be in, I had written Winter Passion. And it's one of my most fond and proudest pieces to me. And this is the very first book reading, so here we go. Paucity is sad as I drift through the night. Sweet dreams of cold innocence, Cain's great darkness and insight. I'll lie there on the floor, like many times before. Though I've lost a battle, I shall win the war. Ah, deception. Another bitter friend. As I arrive awake in agony, you've confused me till the end. A tomb I may long for to temporarily house my ashes. Inside a terrifying sorrow, as my heart aches and crashes. Do not grieve as I rest on the white winter grass. My time is approaching, and indeed very fast. I feel the cold embracing me. It blankets me in sorrow, never wondering in years to come if there will be a happier tomorrow. I loved you, dear numbness, and you faced me back to reality. I would have been just as happy, face down in the sea. I loved you, dear winter. You and I were always one. The stains of the blood, with no fear of the end, whispered, I'm simply done. I knew the disease, and it was blocked out with ease of a hardened frost upon the surface. But what of the night, when the body may shiver and fight unless there's no future purpose? The wind and the hail stroked my head as I wailed, crying out in desperation for a sign. As I lied in the cold, agreeing to do as I'm told for the rest of my days, the controller said, "You are mine!" So as my body laid still, I denied any pill to take away the pain. Though I knew of my right, in silence and plight, admittedly started to go insane. Though there is passion, I insisted I ration that which remains an emotional pendulum. The shy and the quiet, a personality newly acquired, saw the change between myself and them. So as my body is flat on the cold story mat, which was white and back to green, my soul is in trouble, then dosed of double. But lying there for hours, you'd be amazed at what I've seen. I'd seen hauntings, felt senses, the madness as it suspenses in my chilled back with no movement at all. As I felt the hurt covering my coat to my shirt, if not lying down, feeling small. Yet I was determined to wipe out any vermin as I walked only meters past. Still in a state which prolonged any fate. If I were to go soon, I'll make sure that it's fast. A shadow coveted me, stated it'll do what it can see, and the chills went through my very marrow. That innocence shone, fear of which had grown, motionless again, in sorrow. In that dark night it didn't give me a fright, though I pictured all creatures' blood combined. A sacrificed lamb, a child on your God's land, and every detail perfectly defined. But in the chilled air, I'm not sure I'd care if I followed over an ancient great cliff. The higher the better, in howling, drowning weather, or the vein ice that will never shift. I fight for truth. I fight for justice. I fight for you. I am the abandoned poet.